Okay, so this is my platform to talk about whatever I want. So let's talk about a little bit of a biggie, which is that it's not the tool, it's the person using the tool. I think that that is total nonsense. I mean, sure, there's some truth to that. You need skills in whatever you're doing. If I hand you a guitar or an organ, you're not going to just be able to naturally play them really, really well. You're going to need to develop the skills. And if it's the nicest organ in the world or the cheapest organ in the world, if you have no skills, it doesn't matter. But that is only true to a certain point, especially even when you're learning. I think that you should always get whatever the best tool is within your disposal, both financially and resource wise, where you're located. So, this is not to discourage people or to flex. This is to encourage people to invest in what they find is important and what they spend a lot of time doing. If you, for example, like to create 3D art, I know it's a pain because it's really hard to get, although laptops are kind of a hack for this right now. You need to get a really good graphics card. Again, if you can afford it. If you can't, there's ways around it. You can pre-visualize everything and then just hit render and walk away. There are render farms that you can hire out. So there's definitely ways to solve problems of not being equipped correctly. But at the end of the day, there will be limitations on your work because of the equipment that you use. If you have everything at your disposal, you are going to be able to achieve things that were otherwise not possible. People like to make those sort of statements and then cherry pick little examples. Oh, Billie Eilish did her entire album in her, garage or her studio at home. Yes, that is true. Now, the equipment that they get to use nowadays versus what even existed 10, 20 years ago would have been almost the equivalent of what you would have found in a studio 10, 20 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. The main point I'm trying to make is invest in your craft. If you can afford it, put money into what you love doing and what you want to get better at. 2 reasons why. Reason number 1, it is motivating. If you put money into something, unless it's just entirely not your vibe, you will then spend more time doing it. It's just what happens. You buy a new set of golf clubs. Where are you going to be on the weekend? You're going to be golfing. That's true of pretty much anything. You buy yourself a nicer guitar, you're going to play more guitar. You buy yourself a new graphics card, you're going to either video game more or you're going to be working in Blender more. So that's the first thing that I want to say is invest in what you love to do in your craft because it will turn into time. The second thing, though, that I wanted to say, and I got to make this quick. I'm hearing a baby crying on the floor over here. The second thing is the quality will increase then, and that will lead to more opportunities. There is something called capital investment when you're dealing with the hard industries, like, anything that builds something. And capital investment is basically the cost that you have to do to not even make anything, just to have the facilities to make things. So there is a capital cost involved with making art. So what you really need to do is you need to invest in that capital. I think as a culture, we want to try to use as little capital to get as much gains as possible. It's kind of a backwards way of doing things because the thing with capital is the moment you invest in capital, that cost is over. It's done. You don't have to do that again for 5, 10, 15 years. So, for example, if you want to learn how to play piano, look at your budget, be realistic, but then buy the nicest thing you can afford if it's really something you want to do. Because then you're going to be able to ride that capital purchase for forever and really incentivize yourself. Now, if you're not that serious, go buy a $100 keyboard or a cheap as free piano. And if you can't afford it, also, there's tons of pianos on Craigslist. So I guess if I had to put a nutshell is let's stop turning everything into a nice little saying, because most of those nice little sayings are not really that true. And they kind of distort and make people make kind of poor decisions about what they're going to do with their resources. Anyway, this has been Robert Monroe here. Like and subscribe. Comment if you disagree or if you agree. I like to see both. And I'll catch you again tomorrow.